Hi everyone, this is Amy Jasper here at Inking on the Fly, and I want to share with you a card that we're going to make using the Celebrate Sunflowers dies and stamp set. So the dies are actually called Sunflowers dies, and most of the card that we're making today will incorporate the dies. The stamp set, we will just be using the Let's Celebrate You stamp set, but you could incorporate the dies or the stamps in the future for this card design. So to start our card, which is kind of a clamshell design is what I'm going to call it, we have a 9.5 inch by 4.25 inch piece of thick basic white, and it's scored at 5.5 inches. So then you can fold and fold that over, and then you have another piece that is 9 inches by 3.25 inches. So we'll fold that on the score line. Really make an effort to make sure that your lower bottom edges are parallel, the open edges, and flush with one another. And we can set that one aside and we'll work on the main card base. So these are the two pieces that make the base of your card. So we have the larger card base, which is this one. So to decorate that, I have a bunch of things that I have pre-cut. I'll just get all those guys out and ready. So we have a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 inches. And this is Night of Navy. And we're going to take the 3 pieces of patterned paper. This is the Berry Delightful patterned paper that you can get for free with Celebration. You have 2 pieces. One is 1.5, 2 pieces that are 1.5 inches by 4 1/8 inches, and one piece that is only 1 inch wide and 4 1/8 inches. So we're going to take one of those 1.5 inch pieces. And with our handy dandy Tombow liquid glue, I'm just going to adhere the pattern piece flush with the top of our Night of Navy piece. And then that whole section we're going to attach to the inside of our card base. Now when you attach something on the inside, you want to make sure it doesn't get too close to the fold, but I want this to be pretty tight with the inside fold. So what I'm going to do is line it up and then just make sure that I can fold that card base closed and still have it quite tight with the bottom edge. There we go. Like that. So that leaves us a border at the top, which is just an aesthetic really for our final design. So then the other piece that we want to attach to this is the outside piece that will go on this outside flap. Whoops. And again, we've got Night of Navy, and this time we're going, this time we're going to use the 1 inch piece of patterned paper. But it's going to go on the bottom of our 3.5 inch by 4 1/8 inch piece of Night of Navy. And then that piece is going to attach to the outside. So that it's flush with this basic white edge. And it will line up with that piece on the inside. So when it's closed, it's balanced, if that makes sense. There we go. So that's our card base. So far, we've got the next piece is this one. So this is that 9" by 3¼ inch piece of thick basic white, and it's scored at 4.5 to create a card base. I call this the small insert. Oh my goodness, there's dog hair. Dog hair on my glue. Okay, so this one I can attach. I want to put adhesive on just the back side of my card. And it's going to go on the inside and flush with that Night of Navy at the bottom. And the trick is getting everything straight. But I think we're looking pretty good. There we go. So there's our inside piece. So you have a little bit of an edge on there. Ideally, you want that to be as close as possible to the bottom edge, but of course we want to make sure our cards all fold, so we don't want to get too close to the inside fold. So then we can decorate that front piece, and we start with, what did I miss? Oh, I haven't finished the outside. I haven't finished the card base. Let's finish. So we've got this other last piece of pattern paper. This is that 1.5 inches by 4 1/8 inches. And this one is going to go on this inside flap at the bottom with even edges all the way around. So it's got a 1/8 of an inch border. Actually, it's probably 1/16 of an inch border. And then our card's going to sit there with that stamped piece that we'll just add that later. Okay, so now we have our outside to decorate. So I have included, if you have a kit, I've included a, what is this? What size is this? 3 inches by 4¼ inches piece of basic white. And I've run it through the Subtles 3D embossing folder to create that, the embossed texture. But before I do anything with, and before I attach this to my card, I'm going to distress the edges. I'm into distressing just a little bit these days. So to do that, there's a couple of ways. Sometimes I just use my fingernail or like a straight edge to kind of start roughing that edge up. And sometimes I'll go, so it depends what you want to do, what you feel like. It just really is all about what I feel like half the time. There's no magic, people. No magic at all. Sometimes I'll use the side of my, like an open pair of scissors, because they will, oh, it's a bit like chalk or nails on a chalkboard sometimes though. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I feel like doing this one. I'll go back to the bone folder. It was more friendly. The scissors will rough up the edge as well as folding it though. The bone folder is just folding it up. So you can use any kind of straight edge, or like I said, you can use your scissors. Oops. And then once you get going, then you can use your hands to kind of rough up the edges a bit. Sometimes you just need something to start it. And because it's been embossed, it is a little bit fragile, which benefits us for this technique. So if you end up with an accidental tear, that's okay. It adds to that whole distressed kind of feel. All right, that's really all I need to do. So I just want it to be a little bit roughed up around the edges. I'm okay with that. Okay. So the next stage of that is to add a little bit of splatter. It was subtle on my card design that I initially did, but I like it. I like that subtlety. All I did was take a Stampin' Up! Blends marker. I have a black one that I use for this purpose. And I've probably shown you this, or you've probably seen this before. And I just put the tip of the marker inside the lid and then flick toward my paper. And I just really like how easy it is to add texture. Ooh, I got some nice big blobs over there. I just really like that. Now the risk with doing that is that that beautiful brush tip, it's not going to stay very pointy if you continue to use this technique with it. So proceed with caution using that kind of technique. I'm intending to purchase, excuse me, my mouth isn't working very well this morning. I'm intending to purchase a second blend so that I have one with a pointy tip and one that I use for this technique, because this technique is so easy to do, and I really like how easy it is. So I will keep doing it regardless of how much damage I cause to the tip of my brush. Alternatively, you can take a paintbrush. Let's see, do I have a paintbrush nearby? You can take a paintbrush, let's get one that's not wet, there, and load it up with a bit of water and some ink, and then tap it on your finger and flick it down onto your paper, and it will add splatter that way. And I've also seen people will use a toothbrush for that kind of technique as well. So there's some options. Okay, this one I'm going to attach to the front of my card now. So this one will go right on that 3 1/4 section. And then we can assemble, let's put that aside, and we can assemble our sunflower. If I can grab the pieces. So here I have the outside of the flower is So Saffron. The main detailed section of the flower is die cut using Bumblebee, and then you'll have lots of little bits to pop out. They come out pretty easily. If any of them don't come out easily, you can use your paper snips and just give them a little snip. So that's going to attach directly to the flower base. And you can line up, I find, you look for a sticky outy bit, and you can usually, there it is, you can usually find how to line it up. If you find an edge that's a little bit unique, then it's easier. Okay, so that's So Saffron and Bumblebee, and then this is Early Espresso. So I'm going to trim off all that excess around the circle. So I just want this circle here for the center of my flower. So I'll just trim off all those little outside remaining petals, the petal skeletons. We don't need them. And then after I trim all those off, I'm going to make sure I have some more of these little holes. These little holes I want to punch. Oops. I want to punch those little holes out. Normally I would use my brush, my, goodness, what is it called? My die brush. But it's too far away from this area. So I'm just going to take my bone folder and, no, that's not even going to work. Maybe I didn't press firmly enough to cut those. I'll just use my scissors and poke. They're handy. A stylus would work, or a poking tool. Sometimes you can roll these things with, with a bone folder, and they would just pop out, or on a pencil or something, and they would just pop out. But these ones, they're stuck in there too much. There we go. I just want those to be open so that it just adds a little more texture. Look at the mess they make, though. There we go. And then this guy I'm going to put on with dimensionals. He's the only one. And I'm at the last ends of my black mini dimensionals here, so I will use those and be frugal a little bit with my supplies. Oops. And again, sometimes you can find an edge. Oh, I missed a step. My friends, I missed a step. I want to stick this guy down first. The little black inside piece. The very center. I'm going to pop him down. And then I can pop this guy over top. That would have been harder to put him in there once this was already on. So I kind of am trying to find things that match up, but it's not going to be easy. So we'll just, oh, I think I did though. Da, da, da. Sometimes, I tell you. Okay. So then we have this basic sunflower started here. And then we want to get all of our leaves. I have the Mossy Meadow leaves. I have an old olive leaf. And I have this detailed leaf in Mossy Meadow as well. So this one I can attach to the coordinating, not a detailed one. I'm just going to use a couple bits of liquid my Tombow, because as you know, it's kind of a thing. I like my Tombow. So I just put 3 little snippety-doos of glue on there. You could just use a glue dot underneath on that one. That would be fine too. Okay, so what I find is easier for me is to attach the flower first, but attach it in such a way that there's no adhesive under the outside edges. So I only am going to put glue in the middle. That way I can tuck my petals underneath where I want them. So I'm going to put this guy slightly, he's going to be closer to the top and slightly left of center. How high? I don't know, around about there, we'll say. So he can be poking off the side. That's okay because he's still on the card, even though he's poking off the side of our front piece. And then we can attach this guy underneath. He can go right about here. It helps that I have one that I've already done, so I can look at what I did and copy it. I don't have to reinvent anything. And this little petal or leaf, he's going to tuck over here. And then this guy. He's going to tuck over here. And then lastly, for the flower, we have some linen thread. So you have a couple of options with the linen thread. You can just tie a bow and use a glue dot to attach it to your card. I like to tie mine to things. I'm kind of weird that way. So in order to do that, I can just thread this through the veins of my leaf, because that's where I want to attach my linen thread. And then I can tie my bow. What's going on here? There we go. Make it how I want it to behave. It doesn't want to behave. Sometimes when ribbon is on a spool, it curls funny. And you can usually tame the curl by kind of pulling the thread between your thumb, like your nails, your thumbnail and your pointer fingernail, your index nail, whatever. That's your index finger, yeah? I think so. But in this case, it's not working with my bow very well. It keeps wanting to curl toward me. That's okay. I think we got it. So there's my bow, and I can make that, I might make it smaller. I try not to fuss with my bows too much on camera because I'll fuss for like way too long. You can fuss with your own bows. You don't have to watch me fuss with mine. There, that looks better. Okay, so that is the front of our card, looking good. And then we can do the final piece, which is that sentiment that we need. So I have a piece of, it's 1 inches by 4 1/8 inch. And I have the stamp, Let's Celebrate You, from the Celebrate Sunflower stamp set. And I have Night of Navy ink. And my ink pad, if I remember, is a bit dry. So I want to make sure I ink it really well. Or did I ink it? Maybe I inked it. Looks pretty good. Stamp that in the middle. Beautiful. Oh, stamping is so easy. I love it. I love stamping. I don't have to hand draw anything. No fuss. Okay, so then we want to open up our card, and this is going to go on with dimensionals. This piece is really important because it will act as the docking area for our card to stay standing open on display. So this one, I'm just choosing to put it like lined up with that patterned paper on the front here. So it's the same, all lined up like that. And then we're done. So then we can rest our card like so. And like I said, it's a clamshell kind of look. So there it is. Something new to try, a different way to present a card to somebody. Looks nice closed, and you have Aries, lots of room to write if you choose to. Write lots, you don't have to. And there you have it.